Welcome, everyone. Cooking with Heart for Diabetes, Class 2. So exciting week. Thank you, everybody, for many of you did the nutritional assessments and asked for more details. And hopefully I gave you some direction. It's not the same as a customized nutrition appointment with a dietitian or a diabetes educator in particular, but it's giving you some guidance and some things to focus on that came out from the assessment. So thank you for that. Was excited to see all that. Today we're going to tackle spacing of meals and insulin resistance, which is a big topic. If you haven't heard about it, it's a really important. We're talking about blood sugar control. A big thank you to the Trinity Foundation, to Genesis, to the Quad City Diabetes Association that allows us to put on these classes, and for me to meet all you and share my passion. I want to turn it over. We have Ellen, a guest here, so I'm going to spotlight her, and she's going to share something. She's a diabetes educator, so she's somebody that you might end up meeting with, and she's fantastic. So you'd be lucky to meet with her. So let me there we go, add spotlight. There we go, Ellen, you're on.
All right. So as Teresa said, my name is Ellen, and I'm a dietitian at Genesis, and I am a certified diabetes educator. And I meet with people all the time, and we chat about what barriers they run into as far as taking care of their diabetes, and kind of try to find some solutions or some action plans to help with the blood sugar control. What I wanted to chat about a little bit tonight is the fact that type 2 diabetes is how the blood sugars do is related to your pancreas's ability to make insulin. If your pancreas is still doing okay with making insulin, you might get by with not as much medications or maybe no medications, but over time, sometimes the pancreas's ability to make insulin can get less. And so sometimes then, even if you're doing everything that the educator told you to do, sometimes those blood sugars just don't cooperate. And so over time, sometimes your diabetes can change. It can sometimes progress even when you're doing the things that you have been instructed to do. Doesn't always happen, and that's where we can help to support you. And that's the other message that I wanted to bring out today, is that you need some support when you're dealing with a disease like this, because it's just there hanging around your neck all the time. And so diabetes educators and dietitians can help you. Maybe you've got friends or family members who are supportive and can help you. Don't try to go it alone. Use the support that you have available to you. And if you're having difficulties, chat with people about it. Maybe we can come up with some solutions or something new to try. And that was what the message I wanted to send tonight.
Awesome, Ellen. Yes. So Ellen is one of the diabetes educators in the Quad Cities. So when you go meet with her, she will just tell you all kinds of great things you're doing and work with you on what areas you want to see changes in. So so you've got that on your second sheet in there. So of the contact. So make sure if you are diagnosed with diabetes, you really need to get in to see. Most every insurance is going to allow for one visit at least a year to see a diabetes educator or one-on-one. And so that's a great thing to take advantage of. Awesome. Thank you, Ellen. So today we're going to make quinoa burger, and you can see I've got several ready for us. We're also going to talk about spacing of meals. We're going to do some sweet potatoes with a dip, and we're going to do some fun snacks. And next week, we're going to go into why it's hard to resist processed food. So, and we're actually going to do a mindful eating exercise. So next week, we'll eat together a little bit. I'll provide something here. For those at home, you want to make sure you have like 5 bites of something to share in the mindful eating exercise next week. Today, our snacks that we're featuring in the demo part, they are approximately 150 calories and 10 grams of carbs. So if you've been working with a diabetes educator and those are some things you're watching, just know that that's kind of roughly where we tried to keep these snacks, unless we made a note in the snack description that it was different. So, okay. Next week, we're also going to do triple powered smoky tortilla. And some of you, I gave feedback about beans, because beans actually are really great for glycemic control, for controlling your blood sugars. So, so it's something to think about working in. And some people are stumped. How do I work in beans? I'm just really not crazy, or I don't know. So, of course, chili is a good way to go. But today we got the quinoa burgers that actually have quinoa. We'll talk more about that, and the pinto beans, which is an awesome combination for your blood sugars. And then next week we'll be doing the triple powered smoky tortillas. And one of the layers is beans. And it's super easy to make. I make it all the time and love it. And you can use it in other dishes. That's what I love about the triple powered tortillas, is that it's got 3 layers that you can use multiple ways. So those are 2 ways that you can use beans. Okay, so let's go over label reading. So thank you, Becky, for bringing that up to our attention. So I know I've been telling some of you too through our exchange back and forth, okay, so for saturated fat, make sure 10 grams, or maybe I've given you a different number. But so I want to go through kind of how you look at a label of product. So first thing is, when you look at the product, ignore the front side. So this is the Standstill commercial, okay? Thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars have went into what should you put here so that you can get it, put it in your cart to check out with it. That's the goal of this. So just flip to the back side to the nutrition facts and the ingredients list. Those are what we want to pay attention to. And there's only 5 things I really look at because I want to make it simple. So does everybody have a product? If you don't, raise your hand in the room. So it looks like Diana might need one. Okay, awesome. So Tanya will get you that. So the first thing I look at is the serving size. So you just want to get a feel, is that approximately what you think you're going to eat? You don't have to keep to that, but if we're going to look at the nutrition facts, that's going to make a difference. So, if it says a cup or 1 biscuit or, whatever it is, just, oh yeah, or I'm probably gonna eat a little less or a little more. So keep that in mind as we go throughout the label. Also, if you're going to take another product off the shelf and compare it, you want to make sure you're comparing the same measurements. Now, they're much better than they used to be. They used to be wild, like in grams and ounces and all over. They're a little bit better. Occasionally you still see ounces and things like that. So, okay, then I hop to saturated fat. I really don't care about calories. Saturated fat, I really don't care about total fat. It's the saturated fat. We'll get to more of that in the 4th class in your heart, but saturated fat is really one of those major components that contributes to heart problems. So saturated fat, a general recommendation to keep it within the recommendations of the American College of Cardiology. We want no more than 10 grams of saturated fat. And that's not per meal, per item. That's for the whole day, everything in there. So Becky brought up a product that was 1 gram for 1 tablespoon. Now, it really, I'm not going to tell her yay or nay. So it really is about, hey, if you're eating a lot of other things with saturated fat, maybe you want to find another substitute for that. But if you're finding throughout the day, you're not really having any saturated fat or very little, keeping around 5, then hey, then that might be something that you really like to have 1 tablespoon of. So it's really the whole picture, but I do want you to keep track. You don't have to write it down. You don't have to get an app, but do somehow keep track mentally or in your notes in your phone. Do it a couple days, but saturated fat is really, really important. Okay. Then we hop to sodium. I don't really care about cholesterol. If you have questions about that, I can tell you why after class, but sodium. So sodium has to do with blood pressure, and manufacturers add sodium in products, like a whole bunch of sodium, because it's cheap. We like it. It helps things cook faster. So it helps things store longer on the shelf. So it's just very tempting to add a lot. So you want the numbers, there's 2 different numbers. One is if you have high blood pressure, one is if you don't. If you have high blood pressure or you're on meds, then you want to keep it to 1,500 milligrams for the whole day. I know that's a weird number, but there's not many numbers I ask you to keep in memory. 1,500. If you do not have high blood pressure, then 2,300. Again, a weird number, but keep that in mind. Now, the 1500, one way of kind of keeping track is in general. Just give this as a general guideline. If you look at the calories, then kind of give that as a guide as where the sodium should be. Because in general, most of us, unless we're working out a lot, are going to be in the range of 1500 calories a day to 1800. Okay. So I'm just saying, as adults 40 to 60 in that range, that's going to be a good kind of number for us unless we're super active. So I don't want you to calorie count, but it just gives you an idea. So if your product is, 360 calories and your sodium is 590, oof, that's a little high. Okay. Now, if you want to keep track of all your sodium and figure out if you can make it work, fine. But I'm just saying, this is a guideline. There's a lot of sodium in a lot of things. Now, a few of you I did see on your assessment were good for your sodium. You were right around 2,300, which is great. Some of you were up there 5,000 to 9,000. It's not unusual, guys. Okay. There's a lot of sodium. So start reading labels. You might go into sticker shock. So the next thing that I hop to is you might want to glance at sugar. I know that's a big topic when we're talking about diabetes. What I would look at is the added sugar, not so much the total sugar. It's just so misleading, the total sugar. It's not that it's not important, but the added sugar means it's added there with fruit juice concentrate or different things. And so I usually give the guide 10 grams, no more than. Now, 10 grams means you have 2.5 teaspoons of sugar. Doesn't sound like a lot, but really added sugar is that's really one of the things that is our downfall. So if you want to look at the whole day, in general, again, a couple of you have given some different recommendations maybe from this. And if you have questions, ask me, but I'm talking to the general class right now. So generally, women, we want to keep 6 teaspoons of added sugar or less a day. Okay. If you're naturally doing less, great, keep with it. Don't increase it. Okay. That's 24 grams of added sugar if you're reading everything. Okay. And that's gone in a venti Starbucks. Okay. Okay. So sorry, but we have sugar all over, and sugar is really a downfall. So for men, it's usually 9 teaspoons is a general mass population recommendation, no more, and that's 36 grams. Added sugar, not the total. I know that's confusing. Okay, so then I hop to the ingredient list. I know it's really tiny print, but the cool thing about the ingredients list is the ingredients are listed by weight, not volume. When we measure on a recipe, we're doing volume. But this is by weight. That's why you'll even see water listed in there sometimes, because the weight of water is in there. So, and here's 2 clues that you want to look for. You want to look for the first 3 to 5 ingredients are the most important because they make the most weight. Makes sense. So you don't have to read through the whole 2 paragraphs if you've got that long. The first 3 to 5 ingredients, what am I looking for? I'm looking for a name for sugar. Now, you rarely going to say the word sugar. There's 61 names for sugar on the label, 61. I don't even have them all memorized. But if I think it might be sugar, it's sugar. Okay. If you have a hunch it's sugar, it's sugar. Okay. Anything ending in OSE, that's sugar. Dextrose, maltose, fructose, glucose, all those are sugar. Anything like honey, agave, yeah, they're sugar, guys. They're sugar. Maple syrup, fruit juice concentrate, evaporated cane sugar, it's all sugar, okay? So if it's the top 3 to 5, that means that's a lot of sugar in that product, okay? So that's what I look for. The other thing that the top 3 to 5 is I'm going to look for, and we haven't talked about it, is the fiber being a whole grain source. A fiber meaning it has all 3 layers of the grain, the bran, the germ, the endosperm, the way Mother Nature made it together. So that's really hard. In any product that's packaged, unless it's quinoa, brown rice, standing on its own, it's going to be tough because manufacturers aren't going to put in the top 3 to 5 ingredients, oats, amaranth, quinoa, farro, things like that for the most part. Make sure it's 100% whole grain too. Okay. It's very confusing with the fiber, guys. So they can add fiber. In other words, they can strip it and then add it back, but it's usually only one layer, and it's not the way Mother Nature made it. And all the studies we've done showing that fiber is great for so many things, we're done with Whole Foods. So there's a problem there when we start adding that back. Plus, manufacturers will do it oftentimes so they can get like a stamp of approval. And I'm like, that's not the same. It's usually a more processed product too. And the longer the ingredients list, the more processed. It doesn't automatically mean it's bad, but it just means that I'm going to question the source they're getting their ingredients from. Because their number one thing is usually trying to get cheap. Okay. I don't, I'm not trying to, that makes sense. But I'm just saying, if they've got a lot, and that means they're having preservatives in there to try and keep the shelf life longer and stuff like that. So those are the 5 things I look at, guys. So look at your product. Is it thumbs up or thumbs down? We got some thumbs up here because these are products now. Let's see at home. We got some thumbs up, thumbs down. You can send in the chat if you want to. So and does anybody have any questions after looking at their product? Again, a product itself, I don't want to label good, bad. Yes.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Earlier, one of our other classes that we do after rehab, they said that the sodium level should never be higher than 1 calories.
Yes, and that's usually that's the guideline for the 1500. Because just to give you something to go on, it's not that it should never. You're going to have trouble with some of the condiments like soy sauce and things like that, but we'll talk about some ways to get it lower. Okay, well, and so what you want to do is if it's significantly higher than what the calories are, is start to ask yourself, is there a substitute, a swap I can use? So you've got that's a hot sauce. It's Tabasco. Sometimes Tabasco is okay. It depends. Sometimes they beef it up with a lot of salt.
0 calories.
Yeah.
35 milligrams, 1%. So.
Okay. For how much though? So.
1 tablespoon.
Okay. Are you adding a tablespoon? Okay, teaspoon. Even a teaspoon of that. Are you adding a teaspoon of hot sauce? You are? Oh my goodness, you have a different taste buds than me. Okay, then, we actually have over there on the shelf. Can you look, Tanya? I think somewhere over there. I know Linda knows about which one is like 0. So there we go. Is that what it's the same one? Okay, well then, okay, it's smaller. Well, that's on the Pritikin shelf. So those are going to be ones that we can work with. I know Pritikin has a hot sauce. You have a special order that is 0. So, I mean, if you're using a lot of hot sauce, then you might consider the Pritikin. But most of us are just adding, I thought, just a couple drops. Okay. Okay. Whoa. Okay. So, but that's a great question because it does matter how much, and that it's a guideline. Salt is tricky because it's all over. And so the guideline of the calories is just to get you thinking, should I start counting? If you think you're way off, then just start keeping track and finding out if you're going way over.
It says still vinegar.
Vinegar has none. It's fine. Vinegar actually is a good thing when we're talking blood sugar control and stuff. So yeah. So good. Let me know if you have questions, because this is how you learn, is by asking questions and figuring out how things fit into the whole big picture. Okay. So usually there's hardly any products that are never. There are a few that we say blue moon, but it's how often and it's what you're putting it around in the day and that kind of thing. So, okay. So let's switch to the PowerPoint because I've got some great points there that I think will help clear up some things that I know some of you are working on. So let me go to my screen here. So do you see up there my PowerPoint? Awesome. Yes. Okay. So now I want to go into what happens in your body with blood sugar. So, and this is really key to understanding how to put together meals, mini meals, snacks, that kind of thing, and meals. Okay, so here we have a person eating an apple. Now, the apple, we eat it, it goes down our esophagus, our stomach, into the small intestines. It doesn't really change a lot once it gets into the small intestines. It becomes kind of like applesauce. So now what happens is your small intestine is going to chop at the applesauce into its building blocks. It's going to take the protein, the fat, and the carb. There's a little bit of each one of those, even though it seems like there isn't. And it's going to put it into its chop it into its building blocks. It's got enzymes that will do that. And so fat will become fatty acids, and proteins will become amino acids, and then carbs become the simple carbs called like fructose and glucose and galactose. Those are kind of the most common ones. So, and once they're broken down, then they can cross from your intestine, that kind of wrapped up hose, into your bloodstream. And technically, when we're talking nutrition or medical, we say it's not in your body until it's absorbed, the building blocks. So now your glucose has moved into your bloodstream, and that's the number then that you're getting when you're taking your blood sugar, is when it's in your bloodstream. So it goes from the small intestine right into your bloodstream. Now there's some talking going on. Your body has sensed that you got some carb that's being converted into, broken down and put into the small intestines. And so the pancreas has pumped up its insulin and released it. So that by the time, if things work and if you have the slow release, there should be insulin there ready to unlock the cells in your body to allow the glucose in. Because if you've done some reading or education around blood sugar, you know that every cell needs blood sugar or glucose. It's our by far primary fuel source, but it can't just walk in the door of your cell. It has to be unlocked with insulin. There's a receptor site, kind of like a key lock. So that has to happen. So that's what normally is happening to keep your blood sugar at a normal level. So there's a really nice orchestra that happens to keep this at the normal level. Now, when we have diabetes, then there's something that's happening with the insulin, and there's a couple different things that can happen. And so I need your imagination as I'm going to kind of go through some of the major concepts with insulin. And we want to see where your body is having trouble keeping up with this balance, with the insulin unlocking the door and letting the blood sugar in so that your blood sugar never gets too high. So let's imagine that insulin is a knife that you have to, in a sense, cut up your food so that it can be put into your body. Now, I know I just gave you a whole different picture, but let's just use our simplistic imagination there. So some questions we want to know is, how big is your knife, your insulin knife? And then how sharp is your insulin knife? And then how much food are you really having to, or how much work are you asking your insulin knife to do? So, okay, let's break this down so it's manageable and understandable. So, how big is your insulin knife? Well, when you're born, you start with your biggest insulin knife, okay? And over just normal age, it's gonna plummet some. It's gonna decrease. Doesn't matter whether you're diagnosed with diabetes or not. But when you're diagnosed with diabetes, typically your insulin knife is half the size. So let's say when you're born, you have like a 10-inch knife. Let's just pretend this is 10 inches. So I'm holding up my Sentuco knife for those at home. And then when you're diagnosed with diabetes, you're pretty close to half the size. So maybe a 5-inch knife. So can you cut food with a 5-inch knife? Yeah, you can. You can get it to work. And there's some things you can do. It can work just as good as you need it without any help. So now, but if you've had diabetes for a while, your insulin knife might be to a paring knife. So can you cut up vegetables with a paring knife? Yeah, but you can't do a lot at once, okay? Correct? You got to space it out. So that's what we find. Now, what about if I had a box cutter? Am I going to be able to cut up your vegetables? Oh, well, you're a starve, I think, if we do that. So, yeah. So when we get down to box cutter size, we're going to need some help. Medication, maybe insulin, possibly at the paring knife size. So, and then when you have type 1 diabetes, oftentimes we don't even have the box cutter. So you need help there. Okay, so that's how big is your knife. That's how much insulin you just have the capability of manufacturing, pumping out to do this opening the door. Okay, so second thing is, how sharp is your knife? So, can you cut up food really quickly and fast and just cut real quickly? Is it sharp? So the same amount of insulin is not as effective in lowering your blood sugar when you have insulin resistance. So that's what happens. So in a sense, it's like your knife has become dull when you have insulin resistance. You still have the same amount, but it's not able to do the same work. It's just duller. So that might be from several different things. Age, we're going to see a little bit of that in everybody, a little bit with age. Activity. Now, inactivity is going to present with insulin resistance. And I want you to star that 3 times in activity, okay? Because if you want to see a significant change in your insulin resistance, activity and muscle are going to be your 2 easy peasy things. See a change in your insulin resistance if you've already lost it quite a bit. Medications. So things like steroids, psychiatric meds can make insulin less effective. So check with your doctor if you think that might be. There's not all meds, but some do. Stress does. Pain does, both emotional and physical. Illness, animal protein and animal fat, diet low in fiber, and weight gain. All these things will make you insulin resistant. Now, I want to point out, I'm very, very, it's a big part of making sure when we say the word weight gain and things like that and overweight, that you understand it's not just like pounds on the scale. What happens is when you put on this type of fat that leads to insulin resistance, it's because it's pumping out basically not good stuff. Your fat is metabolically active, and when you have more of it, especially in the around the organs called visceral fat, then you're pumping out. I wouldn't call it toxins, but it's bending that way. That's why we say putting on an extra weight is really going to fight you in your health. It's not the weight on the scale, it's what it does metabolically. Okay, so let's try out some scenarios. So if you've got a back injury, is that going to affect somebody's insulin resistance? Yeah. The sharpness, they're going to have a duller knife. It's not going to be able to do the same work, even though they have the same amount they're pumping out from their pancreas. So would COVID or the loss of a family member or a job loss affect a person's insulin resistance?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Can someone working longer hours regularly at a demanding job mentally affect their insulin resistance? Yes. These are all things, guys, that are going to, and you might be experiencing some in your life. And I'm just saying, I'm putting it out there that these things affect your health. So that are, I think, it's underknown about this, but a lot of people don't know. So if you have diabetes and you have any of these, on the screen, knife dulling factors, they are contributing to insulin resistance. And so that's affecting your diabetes. It's affecting your health. It's affecting your glucose, your hemoglobin A1C. So last thing is, how much work are you asking your knife, your insulin to do? So this looks at how much food and what foods you're pumping into your body at the same time, because the work. So if you eat a whole bag of potato chips, does that require a lot of insulin? Oh, yeah. Okay. That's unrefined carb. A whole bowl of white rice, Bingo! That's going to be a lot, and you're not going to keep up. But if you have a little bit of brown rice and some lean chicken and a salad, it's going to be a slow release into your bloodstream. And you're better able with the insulin that you have to keep up without the glucose going out in high range. So it's the pile of food plus the composition. So you can even eat too many vegetables in theory, okay, and be pretty tough. I think you'd have a stomach ache if you ate that many vegetables so that you would outdo your insulin, okay? So, but if you spread your meals 4 to 6 hours and your snacks, if you're having snacks 2 hours, no closer than 2 hours, then you're giving your body time to work on this and not bringing in some more that it has to work on. Now, you want to also, the idea is you eat food that your body then breaks down to building blocks and brings into your body, and metabolically you're active with it. It goes into your cells, you're working out, you're thinking, you're moving, and it's never packed as fat. And then you become hungry and it's time for the next meal. It's a cycle that your body trusts and loves and is made to do. And your food tastes better even when you're hungry. So it's a matter of figuring this out. And people often want to know, well, Teresa, how, do I do a mini meal? Do I do snack? Are my meals too big? Well, I can crank numbers, but the bottom line is you need to look at what your blood sugars are. You need to look at when you're getting hungry, if you're getting sluggish, things like that are signals that you're probably eating too much. And if you're not hungry by the time you get to your meal time, then either you ate too much at the meal before or you're eating too close. So, 3 meals is going to be fine if they're meal size, 4 to 6 hours apart. You don't need snacks then. Okay. Now, I am going to make the disclaimer, if you're working with a diabetes educator and they decide you need a snack because your blood sugar is okay. But I'm saying, in general, if we're eating the right composition, we're going to be able to go every 4 to 6 hours. But if you're really eating, you're calling it a meal and it's a mini snack, then you might need 2 mini snacks, okay? So that's going to take some trial and error. Okay, so how big is your knife? How much insulin do you have? How sharp the insulin resistance? And then how much work, how much food and the spacing? So thinking about the action steps, here they are. And so start flipping to your action steps. Oh, and I want to take a break. So why don't let's all stand up. So we're gonna stand up, and if you want to, let's see. Okay. So let's see, we did John Travolta last time. Let's do Rockette, okay? But hang on to something if you need. Knee up, kick. Knee up, kick. Switch. Knee up, kick. Knee up, kick. What's that?
Could you do it on? I can't see what.
Okay. Rockette. Okay, yes, Tanya's got it. Now, nobody straight or muscle here, okay? Just a little kick, please, okay? Just a little kick, okay? Okay, we had a lot of Rockette motion going on here, so, okay, go ahead and sit down. So, also, I want to take a moment to have you share, your learnings. It's really, really important, guys. This is a journey, and the journey is filled with gifts that sometimes are a different form than you expect. So if things don't go as planned, that's A-okay. There's a gift in there, something that you are meant to learn. So Did anybody, try out the cauliflower salad? Did somebody try and start looking at things? I know some of you sent me some things that you've been doing. It doesn't even have to be something on the action list, but just share. What are your learnings the last week? Hello.
Cauliflower salad, and my husband liked it.
Ooh, Flo made the cauliflower salad and her husband liked it, which was a big victory. Yes.
I did the cauliflower salad as well, and the flavor was good, but we combined the white vinegar,
Yes. Yes.
so it wasn't very.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, Hy-Vee, I know. Hy-Vee's the only one. I thought about you trying, I can get at Walmart the wine vinegar, like white wine vinegar.
I saw that.
I tried that in another recipe. It kind of worked. It's just not the same. It does, you need that zing because cauliflower is robust. So you need a little zing. So next time you're at Hy-Vee, pick up maybe it'll stay forever. So anybody else? Other learnings? I know you guys are.
I went on Pinterest to look up diabetic recipes
Yeah.
and everything to get more ideas for breakfast, especially.
Okay.
But why is it so many of these recipes, like for one serving, I guess it's mostly for dinners. There was like 76 carbs for one serving.
Oh,
That
well,
seemed rather high.
Yes.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
on a fiber, are we supposed to?
Okay, that's between you and your diabetes educator, some way of keeping track and keeping your blood sugars is to take the carbs, like the total, say 20, and subtract off the fiber that's in there, say 5 grams, and then you call it net 15. There are some problems with that. I'm not a diabetes educator, so I want you to always go to your diabetes educator. But I know some of the things that can happen. Manufacture. I want you to have whole food as close as possible. So I want that fiber to be coming. There's ways manufacturers can get around by adding things so that the numbers kind of churn out, but it's not the same kind of food. So, and you're in your body, it's going to be different for sure. So that is a very high number. And so you bring up a good point. Be careful. You are learning the foundation for how to look for things that are going to work for you. There's a lot of people out there well-meaning, but they aren't working with, in the health field or working with individuals with diabetes. That's where you need to write that down and go to educator.
It wasn't like the National Diabetes Foundation, but it was like a diabetes group
Okay.
that, their recipes, I don't remember the exact name of it now. But
Well, and I don't, again, kind of like we were talking about the product, it's the whole picture too. So one item may be fine, but in a meal it may not, or in the whole day it may not. Or some item may look like, no, this is something I should not. But then if it's the whole picture, guys. So, but you're learning, you're asking questions. I love that. Yes. Yes, the one on the, yes, perfect. Okay, do we have enough? Because we can put,
There's a dark. That's why I was like, wait, what?
yeah, they're already cooked. I just want to heat them up. So
Gotcha.
perfect. Okay. So, other sharings. I want to make sure everybody has a chance to, do we all learn from the questions and everybody sharing? So, okay, don't be afraid to share, guys. So I know you're doing things. You guys are sharing on your email some of the things that you're doing. So, okay. So it's time to get going with the cooking, and we're going to start off with the quinoa. So I'm going to switch my camera here.
On here, as a request for the brownies. You brought to be birthday party.
Oh my goodness.
The little
Yes.
guy that came in and
Yes.
He won some for his birthday party.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I love that. Wow. Oh, that's great. That is great. Okay. So we're going to make the quinoa. So the quinoa burgers, The cool thing about these are they're a great foundation. They've got the whole grain. The quinoa is actually this fantastic grain. It's got 8 grams of fiber for half cup. 8 grams of fiber per half cup. 5 grams of protein. They're one of the highest, if not the highest, whole grain of protein. So it's actually 3,000 to 5,000 years old, Aztecan. Oh, that's flaxseed. Here's my, so they're actually technically a seed. So you can't quite, they look like bird seed. They're just little seeds. I've rinsed it here. So you want to always rinse it, even if it says on the bag that it's been rinsed. I always rinse it. It's not dangerous, but it's got this powdery white layer naturally quinoa has, that's saponin, and it's just kind of soapy. It just doesn't, some people, not everybody pick it up, but it's just something, I just always rinse it. So under cold water. So we're going to cook that. It's a ratio of 1 to 2. I love quinoa because it takes less time to cook than brown rice. So brown rice takes, if you do the quick one, the minute brown rice, you can get that done in about 12 minutes, which quinoa is 10 to 12 minutes. So I've got a half cup rinsed and I've got 1 cup of water here. I'm just going to start it. And once it boils, I'll put my timer on for 10 minutes. So the quinoa is going to help hold things together. Plus, we're going to make a flaxseed egg. Has anybody done that before? A flaxseed egg. Okay, flaxseed is a wonderful grain. It's a whole grain, and it's a seed too. You need to grind it up to release it for our body to take the stuff from it. We don't have the enzyme to break it down. So just use like a coffee grinder or a blender. I put this on my oatmeal every day, ground up, and I'll grind up for the week. On Sunday, I do my week kind of and put it in a little container and just put it in the freezer. You do want to keep this in the freezer. I don't care what you read online, okay? So someone will say, oh, it'll keep for a month. Okay, the problem is these seeds and nuts, when the oils go rancid, then you've got oxidation, which is the very thing we're trying to prevent, guys. So I don't want to take a chance, okay? And they're delicate. They're not like, it's not like lard that could stay forever. So this is like, I mean, it's good stuff, the oils in this. So keep this in the freezer, grind up what you need for like a week's time. But it's got like staying power like an egg. It's not identical to an egg, but it can work like an egg. So I'm going to take 2 tablespoons and put into like 6 tablespoons here. And just let it sit for like 5 minutes. I already ground that up. This is not ground if anybody wants to look at that. So they look kind of like, I don't know, again, birdseed, but they're brown. So wild rice, kind of, but brownish. So yes, let's put this on 10 minutes to get that going, the quinoa there. And we're just gonna let that sit while I'm kind of combining things together. So that's gonna help bind it. I have made cookies when I was out of eggs with the flax egg. It worked. They were slightly different, but still worked. Nobody knew. So if you're like run out of an egg, think about the flax. Chia will work similarly. You can do chia. In a couple weeks, we're going to have oatmeal we're going to do with chia. So we're going to have some breakfast ideas. Also next week, we're going to do the mouth-watering frittata, which is a great breakfast too. So it can be breakfast or dinner. So we're going to take our pinto beans. You know, pinto means paint in Spanish. I do not know Spanish, but I know that. And they're actually swirled pink if you look at the raw pinto beans, not the soaked. But I am going to, where's my masher? My masher.
It's here in front.
Oh, there we go. I knew I was prepared. There we go. So we're just going to use our old-fashioned muscles to just mash this up a little bit. I don't want to make it into refried beans or anything like that. I just want some mashed up because that'll help kind of make the burger stick together. So we're just going to mash it some. Actually, it was a little easier this morning. I think moisture dried off of it, but it's not too bad. But it's really good to do some physical. So that's about it. We just need to do like that. So nothing pretty. This is going to look like ground beef kind of ish when we're done. Yeah.
They have
this is out of the can. It looked like, sorry, it's out of the can. I rinsed it. I just had it sitting here for a couple hours. So it kind of was dry looking. That's why I'm like, wow, it was much easier to mash because I made those this morning. So pinto beans, no added salt. Thank you for bringing that up. So just mash them. I rinse them cold water. You know, you've got to, stir them up a little bit. Sometimes when I rinse quickly, I'll notice, ooh, I didn't get all the way to the bottom. Okay. So we've got this. Then we're going to add the quinoa. I'm going to actually pause because I want to wait for the quinoa to get done so that we can make our burgers. And let's just switch gears over to the potato. So I love sweet. Who loves sweet potatoes? Okay, awesome. Well, I'm giving you permission to have sweet potatoes because you might have heard no potatoes for blood sugar. No, sweet potatoes. Now, regular russet potatoes, those are, you got to be a little cautious there. I'm not saying you don't have caution. I mean, you don't want to eat the whole potato. This is actually 2 servings. Okay. So, but sweet potatoes, actually, they have an enzyme in here that triggers a protein in your body that helps with insulin resistance. Cool. Also, the fiber is fantastic in this. And you notice it's like orangey. So, and if we cut into it, of course, the flesh is nice bright orange. That tells me this bright orange color tells me it has anthocyanins, which are antioxidant. That is fabulous. So there's a lot of great things. And in a sweet potato, the fiber is all throughout. It's not just in the skin. Now, we're not going to peel the skin, but now there's a little different type of fiber in the skin versus the flesh. But the point is, if you were to peel it, you'd still get fiber. Okay. So I do sweet potato nachos. You slice it really, really, really thin. You want a fatter one than this because when you bake them and make them crispy, they shrink down. And so you want enough to put your salsa and your beans and your, all your toppings on your chip. So, but I love making sweet potato nachos. So, but this one's about 5 inches by 3, I think, or did I say 3 is what I said, I think, in the instructions. So we chopped off the top bottom. Usually what I do then, your potatoes, it's a little strong. So I don't, if you want to, you can go 1/2 inch this way, but safest way is to go like this, get a piece that you can work with like this and put it and do it this way because I'm using flat edge on the bottom. So I'm usually my weight, pressing down. And I'm not gonna, this is uneven a little bit. So, and then I'll just stack 2 there, hold it tight and do my 1/2 inch there and make cubes out of it. So go slowly. You don't want to cut any fingers off. So, so that's how. So, and then we put them in there, didn't we? Yeah. So I'll just show you a pan because I want you to see. So we're heating them up. They're not really cooking. I've already heated them. So here they are. So these are cooked. So, but you can see the pieces kind of like this size, they shrunk down because that's the water going out. When they roast the water, they have to kind of steam. That's why you don't want to put them on the pan like this. Okay. Then they're going to have to, the heat has to get in between them and they're steaming and it's just, you want to put them out, spread out just a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then usually I do 15 minutes in the parchment, take it out, and then just take your spatula and just kind of move them around. You don't have to sit there and flip each one individually. So, but just move them around. So I do not usually with the sweet potatoes toss them in oil. I do roast things and toss a little bit of oil. I usually don't. There's no change in taste. Usually, you do want for the vitamin A a little bit of fat to absorb it better, but usually there's fat with whatever you're eating. So that's up to you. The best way for tossing a little bit of oil, if you'd like to do that, get the extra virgin olive oil. It's fine going up to 425. But what I'll do is I'll just pour a little bit in my hands and rub it in my hands, and then I'll pick up this and then rub it.
What about the croissant? Said last week, croissant dinner, do that.
I wouldn't do it before I roast it necessarily. I would do it after. It's a delicious addition to have the reduced balsamic on potatoes, sweet potatoes. Yes. it's for after. But if you want to do a little bit of oil's calorically dense. So those of you that maybe one of your nutrition goals is weight loss, you want to be very careful about olive oil, avocado, things like that. Those are great for your health, but they also are more calorically dense. So they're going to slow down your weight loss goal. So, and we can sprinkle it with just a little bit, just shake a little bit of salt if you want to bring out that flavor. You can try paprika and other things, it's fine. Sweet potatoes are, again, I love them because they are packed with fiber. They help with insulin resistance, and they are what I call a bulk vegetable. So you can make this ahead of time, and they'll be good for 3 to 4 days. They will start absorbing the moisture from the air when you store them in the refrigerator. So you need to freshen them up by putting them in the air fryer. But a lot of times I will do that, is make those in bulk if I feel it. And you can add those. You tell me, what are some things that you can add roasted potatoes to? Other vegetables, yes. You can do the reduced balsamic, which is really good. You can do them in wraps, put them in eggs. You can put them, just add them to things. You can put them on a salad when they're that small. You can just like sprinkle them salad. You just start, and that is so key, is having these things on hand so that when you're like, what am I going to do to kind of spruce this up? Well, I've got the potatoes, I've got the reduced balsamic. You have these things regularly on hand. So pesto is a great thing. So to have on hand. So there's just all kinds of things. So we're going to do a dip with the roasted sweet potatoes, because this had some protein. The protein, usually with a snack, mini meal, whatever you want to call it, you want to have 2 food groups. So we've got our potato, and then we're getting protein from the Greek yogurt with a little bit of Dijon and some garlic powder and onion powder. And it really is a nice combination. You'll be able to try it out. You also can try it on the quinoa burgers. Now, the quinoa burgers, well, actually, let's go back. We're about done with that. Yeah, that's about done. So we can actually use that. So let's go back to that and finish that up. And we've got a couple snacks that I want to show you too. Oh, yes, you're going to talk to me. Yes. Okay. So, we've got these. So I'm going to add my quinoa. So there's the quinoa cooked. So you can fluff it up a little bit with a fork too. But this is great. Quinoa keeps for like a week easily in the refrigerator, guys. And you can freeze it in like, a cup portion or half cup portion and just take it out. It doesn't clump up, okay, like rice can. So it's really cool. And you can sprinkle it on salads. I've done that. Yes.
Is the multicolor the same, or does it matter which one?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Typically the white is the most like kind of bland. The others get into nutty and earthy. So, preference, and they're a little harder to find a little bit, but you're welcome to try them. I love that you're thinking about and noticing that. So I just added that in there. Then I'm going to add in some cornstarch, and that's going to kind of suck up some of the moisture in there. It's kind of a thing that's done with this. It's done with tofu to kind of suck up some of it. We're going to add some garlic here. I'm just using the quick minced garlic. So that's easy peasy to do. And then the seasoning. So this is where I want you to get creative. You'll get to taste these tonight with the seasoning that you have on the handout. So I've got paprika, cumin. I use smoked paprika though. I couldn't resist, guys. I love smoked paprika. So if you want to take a sniff of smoked paprika, it's just so much more intense than regular paprika. And chili powder in here. So a teeny bit of salt. So, but if you want to change the seasoning, because really the base, we're making a burger. So we got to have something that sticks together, forms, cooks. So, and then we just add the seasoning. That's it, guys. So you have a handout, and hopefully you guys got at home a handout with different seasoning ideas. If you taste this and go, well, that's a little blandish, because it has a little bit of salt, but not the usual kind of salt that we find in the grocery store with products. Double the seasoning. If you like that flavor, but it's just not enough, double it. Or try one of the ones on the handout. What flavor do you like? Do you like Mediterranean? Do you like Italian? Do you like North Africa? What? Hot sauce. Well, hot sauce. Tablespoon of hot sauce. I didn't know there was such a thing that you do that much. Oh my goodness. My Midwestern taste buds. Okay. So, and then we're going to add the flaxseed in there. So there might be a little water. It didn't, hold fully the water. That's okay. It's still going to hold it through. Now, can you imagine? Doesn't this look a little bit like ground beef, like raw ground beef that you make your burgers? Okay. So, it forms. It just does. So this size, about like that, is a snack size. Okay. That's going to be a snack. So think of all the fiber and the protein in this. So if we want to go to a meal size, like that. Okay. So, and these freeze really well. Do it on the parchment. Use your recipe, because the first recipe I had was playing around with. I was trying to bake it with a little and fry it, and not frying like frying, but like saute. Does yours have oil listed on there or not? Tell me, because I thought I took it off. If it does, take it off, because you don't need any oil. You just bake it on the parchment.
That'd be the 2 tablespoons of extra protein all.
Yeah, on the quinoa. Yeah, take that off, cross it off. You don't need that. I was experimenting and I didn't take it off. So I was trying to saute it. So yes. So here's the finish. These are baked. So you can see that these are the full burger. So this is a meal size. And then we're coming out with, okay. Or you need the other, sorry. Yes. So Tanya's going to show us the snack size. So those are done. We're just heating them up for everybody here. So there you go. So you could use the garlic yogurt sauce to go on top. You can make, ketchup has a lot of sugar, guys. Okay. So you can make your own ketchup with tomato paste. So if you really like ketchup, play around with that. Okay. So I don't want to destroy all the good stuff. If you put a 1/4 cup ketchup on there, okay.
Could you
So-
use the no sugars?
Yeah, that would be fine. I'd look at the ingredient list and use your knowledge now of the ingredients, but hopefully there's some real tomatoes in there. So, okay, I want to show you guys as we finish up. I know we're at the top of the hour, but there's a couple more snacks that we got to show. So here we have the banana snack. So what that is in the middle there, guys, we froze these. So everybody's going to get to try some tonight, but that's 2 tablespoons of peanut butter mixed with a tablespoon of the yogurt. So Greek yogurt's fantastic, guys. So the cool thing is when you do this, you can actually it's really great for apples too, because you know how peanut butter never sticks to apples, that's supposedly a great snack, but it falls right off. Well, now when you mix in the yogurt, it sticks much better. So, and this is, we're trying to thin out the peanut butter is a great protein, but it is pretty high in fat. Now there is peanut butter powder over here, guys, and that's perfectly fine to use. That's peanuts ground that when you separate out the oil, they just take the oil off and then they make it into powder, the peanut. So if you want to play around with that, that would even be lower and great, because here we have the protein, the Greek yogurt, and we have some peanuts. So, and then we have a little bit of banana. Now, I know some people have told me in the past, are like, Teresa, I thought I wasn't supposed to have bananas with my blood sugar. That is an individual thing. But here I am showing you where we're trying to balance better with protein and 2 little pieces of banana. But you may be particularly sensitive to banana. 2 people with or without diabetes can be vastly different with how they process bananas. So you need to know. But this is very simple. You can put it in the freezer and then you can thaw it out for whatever you like. If you like it frozen or if you like it kind of room temp, you can thaw it out. But this is a very easy, fun snack to make for, grandkids too. So that's an idea there. And let's see, where is I see that. Okay, there we go. Got 2 more that we got to show. Okay, I'll start with the chocolates and then you're eyeing the chocolate here. So this is the rice cakes chocolate. It is brown rice, but forget, it's not like brown rice, like it's really something you want to start gangbusters eating. It doesn't really have the fiber you think. It's more of what I'd call a carrier for the blueberries, the peanut butter, and the chocolate. And it's, it's a carrier. It's crunchy. Okay. So we like that crunch. So these aren't like, I don't want, they aren't something that you shouldn't have, but I don't want you to think, because it says a lot of these rice cakes will say brown rice. You're like, oh, cool. That's okay. Well, I've looked at this. It's okay it depends upon what you put on top. So I have half servings here that we just put a tablespoon of peanut butter on, one whole rice cake, and then 2 tablespoons of blueberries. And then I just took like this much for each one and just chopped it up with a knife. So this is just the 60% cacao Ghirardelli, and just put that on top there. So it's really blueberry, peanut butter, and chocolate. It's very good. And it's, honestly, dark chocolate and blueberries are, it's actually something that you could do. One could be a snack. So, and then the last thing is super cute. So I have here one of the little mason jars with a little bit of hummus in there, like a 1/4 cup. And then I just took red pepper sticks and some carrot sticks. This will keep 3 days in the refrigerator easy, guys. So you could make several and just put it in. So pretty. Everybody's going to be like, what'd you do? That is so cute. So if you're like, Teresa, that looks so cute, but hummus, I don't know. Okay, this is store-bought hummus. I got the lowest salt. You can make hummus that is actually really good. Like if you've gone to a Mediterranean restaurant, it's night and day from this hummus. But if you're not wanting to make it, you can also do things like you can mix some salsa in hummus. Mix some jar salsa in hummus, okay, to give it pizzazz. Or a little bit of pesto that you make from kale, because in my foundational class, I have a recipe for pesto. If you want it, let me know. But I have an ice cube tray that I do little like 1/4 size pestos. So I'll just take a little bit of pesto and add it to my eggs, or add it to my marinara sauce, or add it to, because pesto is so garlic and flavorful. It's just really yummy. So just trying to open your eyes to, if you're like, well, I like that idea, but, well, then you figure out how to make it for you. So, because there's all kinds of ideas. So, I hopefully, and there's plenty more snack ideas on your snack handout. There's salmon with Wassa cracker. There's grapes that you put with a toothpick and ground up almonds on the outside. Ooh, and dipped in yogurt. I mean, have fun, guys. This should not be boring, okay? Only you allow it to be boring, okay? And if you come up, you know what, you can see that we're combining 2 different food groups. A lot of times a protein plus a fruit or vegetable, a higher carb, a higher fiber kind of whole food kind of food. So, share what you come up with. So, yes. So I think I got all the snacks covered and everything. So, and I think it's about time. We went a little over. Make sure you do your action step. So make sure you have that intention, guys. I know it's really hard. I know the minute you walk out of here, people are calling your name, you're getting texts, your mind is going to be elsewhere. So set your goal. It doesn't have to be one of the action steps there. It could be something from last week. It could be something that you're working on. I know some of you are doing fabulous working on things. So your own thing. So keep at it. So thank you. And next week, we're going to do the triple mouth, or the mouth watering for frittata, and the triple powered smoky tortilla. So can't wait.